Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're jumping into a literally fascinating topic: how Japanese culture approaches childhood responsibility. Seriously, if you've ever wondered how to actually build true capability and independence in young minds, well, you're in the exact right place. We're going to break down the psychology, the cultural practices, and those kind of hidden, everyday habits that make this whole system work so incredibly well.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Just imagine a 6-year-old walking to school completely alone. I mean, not with a parent hovering a few steps behind, not with a babysitter holding their hand, just a young kid navigating a commute entirely on their own. Now, for a lot of us outside of Japan, that sounds absolutely unbelievable, right? Maybe even a little terrifying. Which brings us to Section 1, the 6-year-old commuter, independence at an early age. So, while this level of independence might seem totally wild to those of us outside Japan, over there, it's surprisingly common. It's not some rare exception, it is an everyday reality. Japanese kids take on specific tasks often years before kids in other countries are expected to do the same. They're carrying their own bags, no matter how heavy they are. They help serve school lunch to their classmates. They clean their own classrooms. They even run small errands around the neighborhood. It naturally begs the question, right? What exactly is going on here? Are Japanese kids just, naturally more disciplined? Do their parents enforce super strict rules? Or, and this is what we're going to explore, is there a completely different mindset at play right beneath the surface?
Moving on to Section 2, the cost of good intentions, when helping hurts.
To really understand the Japanese approach, we kind of have to look at our own first. Let's be real. Most modern parents have the absolute best intentions in the world. We love our kids, we want to protect them, and naturally, we just want to make life a little easier for a struggling child. Imagine a kid trying to put on their shoes. The immediate adult reaction is usually, "Here, let me do it." It's faster, it's easier, and honestly, it feels genuinely helpful in that moment. But when we constantly rush in to help a child tie those shoes, what happens when that exact pattern repeats hundreds of times? The child slowly absorbs this invisible lesson. Someone else will handle it. We accidentally rob them of the exact opportunities they need to become capable.
Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds, the art of Mimamoru, or watching over.
This is where we get into a totally different cultural mindset, one that shifts the entire dynamic. Mimamoru is basically the practice of watching over. It's where parents observe and deliberately allow children to try and, yes, even fail first before intervening. Instead of rushing in like a superhero, parents stay nearby, making sure the kid is safe, of course, but they let them struggle a bit. Now, I know, watching a child struggle is incredibly uncomfortable. It's tough. But that exact struggle, that is literally the place where capability is built. Because when a child is allowed to just figure it out, something almost magical happens. Every single time a child solves a small problem completely independently, their brain gets this incredibly empowering piece of evidence. It says, hey, I can do hard things. And that belief absolutely becomes the foundation for lifelong responsibility.
But how do they actually get there? It's not like responsibility in Japan starts with these massive, overwhelming tasks. It starts with tiny, compounding steps. Putting away your shoes leads to carrying a small bag, which leads to setting the table or watering a plant. The real key here is that these responsibilities aren't given because parents are desperate for assistance, and they certainly aren't framed as a punishment. They're given because responsibility itself is just considered a normal, expected part of growing up. You aren't helping because you're in trouble, you're helping because you're a member of the family.
All right, Section 4, the power of trust, rising to expectations.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that parents aren't doing this in a vacuum. Society's role is just as crucial, because Japanese society fundamentally trusts children with gradual, safe responsibilities out in the real world. The psychology behind this societal trust is a little something called the Pygmalion effect. Basically, it's a psychological phenomenon where people perform according to the expectations placed upon them. When society constantly treats children as incapable, well, they often become dependent. But when you treat them as capable, when you actually expect them to succeed, they step up and begin acting capable.
The consistent, powerful message Japanese children receive when they're out navigating their world is simply this: we believe you can do this. It's introduced gradually, of course, and always within safe environments, but that underlying message of trust really empowers children to rise to the occasion. Trust is just incredibly powerful.
Section 5, ownership through daily routine, from chores to community.
So Japanese schools are absolutely brilliant at reinforcing this philosophy. For instance, schools famously have students clean their own classrooms instead of just hiring more janitors.
At first glance, that might seem a bit strange to us, but the goal isn't just about saving money on cleaning staff, it's about the ownership effect. This is the psychological tendency for people to care significantly more about things they actually feel responsible for. Cleaning transforms the classroom from someone else's problem into their very own community environment. It becomes their space to maintain.
And building this sense of ownership relies so heavily on repetition. We're talking about a daily cycle, putting shoes away, organizing school supplies, helping prepare meals, tidying shared spaces, returning items to their proper place. You see, responsibility isn't built through occasional grand lectures. Actually, scratch that. It's never built that way. By repeating these small actions every single day, they shift from requiring a massive amount of motivation to simply becoming ingrained everyday habits.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate transformation. It creates this profound mindset shift. The old mindset feels heavy, kind of like a dreaded chore, right? I have to be responsible. But the new mindset, which is born from all those daily ingrained habits, is super powerful. I am responsible. Those repeated habits eventually become a core part of the child's actual identity.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 6. Responsibility is a skill. Practice makes capable.
Now, to be perfectly clear, Japanese parenting isn't flawless. No system is. And kids everywhere face challenges. But this system proves a fundamental truth. Responsibility isn't a personality trait. It's a skill. Just like you can't learn to swim by reading a book on dry land, children cannot learn responsibility without real opportunities to exercise it. So the crucial point is that Japanese kids aren't somehow genetically born more responsible than kids anywhere else. They're simply given vastly more chances to practice the skill. They're trusted, they're included, and they're allowed to discover exactly what they're capable of.
This skill grows step by step. One small task leads to one small challenge, which results in one small success. It's like a giant puzzle, coming together one piece at a time. It's such a powerful reminder that true capability and confidence grow when responsibility is trusted rather than just forced upon someone. So, I want to leave you with a final provocative question to think about. What responsibility taught you the biggest lesson as a child? Or maybe what responsibility do you deeply wish you had learned earlier in life? I really invite you to reflect on your own experiences and those invisible lessons you learned, or maybe the ones you're currently teaching the next generation. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it leaves you with a fresh perspective on how we build capability. Have a wonderful day, and remember, keep practicing those small skills.